Welcome to the Nostalgia Network, my friends. I'm your host, Maverick, and today is the beginning of a new chapter with this channel. Just a heads up for you subscribers, a comment down below will enter your name into a drawing to win one of these Blu-ray discs. I will have the drawing recorded and posted at the start of the next video I post. If you're not a subscriber, don't fret. You know where to find that button, so all you gotta do is click it. Then leave me a comment letting me know your favorite episode in the series we are going to talk about. If you don't have a favorite episode or never seen the show, just let me know your thoughts on this review. And since I buried the lead with both the title and the thumbnail to this video, I will be remembering and reviewing the Are You Afraid of the Dark series. Recently, I was able to get my hands on a Blu-ray copy of all 7 seasons for this show, and I'm so thrilled to relive this part of my childhood with you. In all honesty, it's been a very long time since I've seen the show, so it's going to be a wild ride to rewatch and review these episodes as an adult while still remembering how much I loved them as a kid. But first, let's briefly recap the origins of this show. Are You Afraid of the Dark is a horror anthology series that was created by American television producer DJ McHale, and it was filmed in Montreal, Canada. The show revolved around a group of teenagers who referred to themselves as the Midnight Society. Each storyteller would begin their story by saying, "Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this story The Tale of Fill in the Blank," at which point they would toss a handful of midnight dust from a leather pouch into a campfire to heighten the flames and produce an eerie white smoke. Fun fact, the midnight dust was actually just coffee mate. Cheers! McHale wrote the line, "Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society," as a nod to the Twilight Zone. After introducing each Twilight Zone episode, creator Rod Serling would say, "Submitted for your approval." The themes of the stories usually revolve around a variety of paranormal phenomena, such as demons, ghosts, magic, haunted houses, curses, aliens, witches, vampires, werewolves, and the like, coming into contact with characters that match the age of the target audience. The sources of these tales vary in different ways. Many were adaptations of public domain fairy tales and short stories or urban legends. The show's original pilot episode, The Tale of the Twisted Claw, aired on the Canadian television network YTV on Halloween of 1990, but it didn't make its US debut until almost a full year later, airing on Nickelodeon as part of their Halloween special. But despite the airing of the pilot episode on the Halloween special, the series that we all know and love did not come back around until the following year on Nickelodeon's SNICK, which aired August 15th of 1992. SNICK, short for Saturday Night Nickelodeon, was a 2-hour programming block geared towards older, preteen to teen audiences that ran from August 15th, 1992 until January 29th of 2005. From 1992 to 1996, Are You Afraid of the Dark was slotted in the 9:30 p.m. position and represented 1/4 of the television shows that aired on Saturday nights, starting at 8 p.m. and ending at 10 p.m. Although this show was last before SNICK called it a night, this show certainly was not least. For me, Are You Afraid of the Dark was SNICK's Stairway to Heaven. It was a staple of my childhood and often the first thing my friends and I would talk about the next time we all got together. The original series had a solid run, but ultimately it came to an end on April 20th of 1996. After a brief time on the shelf, Are You Afraid of the Dark had its first of its 2 revival series airing February 6th of 1999 and ending on June 11th of 2000. On November 13th of 2017, it was announced that the Paramount Players would make a live-action feature film adaptation. However, the film was later removed from Paramount's schedule. On February 14th of 2019, it was announced that the series would be revived again for a limited run, and that premiered on October 11th of 2019. On February 19th of 2020, the revival was renewed for a second season titled Are You Afraid of the Dark? Curse of the Shadows, which premiered February 12th of 2021 featuring a different cast. In March of 2022, the revival was renewed for a third season, which premiered on July 25th of 2022. Alright class, let's close our history books and get down to business because I've just been dying to make this video. And one last final warning, there will be spoilers ahead, and even though these shows are made for kids, my reviews are not. They're also not constructed to appease these soft motherfuckers who cannot take a joke, so if you find yourself offended thus far, or just offended by everything on a daily basis, you might as well change the channel. This episode opens up with the Midnight Society's leader, Gary, breaking the fourth wall and explaining to the audience that despite the diverse backgrounds of all the members that make up the group, the one thing that draws them together on a daily basis is their love for the dark and scary tales they create and share with one another. On this night, Frank, a potential newcomer, arrives blindfolded and is ushered to the group's secret location.
You're the sponsor, Dave.
Sponsor? What is this, Alcoholics Anonymous? Because Frank's not an official member of the group, he sat down on an old wooden milk crate as opposed to the throne made of rocks. Frank lets the group know that he's ready.
Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. I call this story The Tale of the Phantom Cab.
Our story kicks off with two brothers, Denny Crocker and his little brother Buzz. Oh, and would you look at that, Frank and Denny clearly both shop at Mervyn's. Somehow against Denny's better judgment, or maybe it was at the order of their parents, accompanies his brother on a hike through the mountains and instilled enough trust into Buzz to let him be in charge of both the map and the compass. It's evident that Denny is doing this against his will, therefore his patience with his brother lessens by the second.
So where are we, Tonto?
Holy shit, Denny, comments like that'll get you canceled nowadays.
Move this man!
I'm just kidding. A short time after the brothers are introduced, Denny confronts Buzz about being lost and he's pissed. Buzz tries to stand his ground, but in the process knocks over the canteen and spills water all over the map. Cue the early 90s insults.
Did trust you and you got us lost, cheeseball.
We're not lost.
Watch it. Great lame wad. Now we're lost and we can't read the map.
Daylight turns to night and Buzz begins to express concern that they've been heading south for so long they should be in town by now. When Denny looks at how Buzz is holding the compass, he discovers that his brother's belt buckle is attracting the magnet from the compass, which makes every twist and turn they've taken appear that they are moving south. As if he didn't want to kill his brother already, Denny is furious because the night sky is now bringing on the cold weather. Let this be a lesson to all you hipsters out there. When you go hiking and your guide is an 8-year-old kid, don't dress like you're going to a New Kids on the Block concert. The boys continue their aimless journey, getting deeper into the bowels of the forest. But lucky for them, they see someone with a flashlight. They're hoping it's a park ranger or a hiker who knows his way back into town. But then we get this.
Maybe it's a maniac killer in a hockey mask who's gonna slash us.
Oh, please be Jason. Please be Jason. Please be Jason. Damn it, it's just Randy Quaid, although I think they might have been better off with the Crystal Lake Killer. Anywho, Cousin Eddie tells the boys he's a traveler and they're farther from town than they know. They're given the option to follow him, and if they choose to do so, he'll lead them to someone who can help remedy their situation. Buzz doesn't trust the man, and I don't blame him. Anyone who flips the bill of their hat in an upward direction must never be trusted. Well, that and the fact that he gets awfully touchy with the young lad just seconds after meeting him. Left with no choice, the brothers follow Flynn, but they start to question the legitimacy of the place their guide is taking them.
What kind of a doctor lives in the woods?
Obviously, Denny's never heard of Dr. Frankenstein. Flynn delivers on his promise and drops the pair off at Frodo Baggins' crack house. I didn't know he had a PhD. After giving the kids a vague warning that the doctor's services come at a steep price, Flynn disappears like a ghost. Possibly a little foreshadowing going on here. Denny and Buzz get spooked at the sounds of raccoons fucking in the bushes and hightail it to the doctor's front door, begging for him to let them in. The door slowly opens and we finally get to see that the doctor is being played by Jack Black? Man, he's really aged poorly in recent years. He invites the boys in, breaks the fourth wall, and properly introduces himself as Dr. Vink.
Dr. Fink?
Think with a v. Who wants tea?
The brothers start looking over Dr. Vink's Walter White starter kit and soon start to realize that the cost of doing business with the good doctor may end with them in an ice bath missing a kidney or two. Denny starts to inquire about using the phone to call their parents, but Dr. Vink is more concerned with
Riddles. How are you boys at riddles?
He gives the boys a riddle to solve, which Buzz solves fairly quickly, and it tickles Dr. Vink where the sun don't shine. Man, this dude really likes breaking the fourth wall. Denny finally grows a pair and has had enough of the foreplay and starts to walk over to the doc's telephone to call his parents, but the doc threatens to cut the line and possibly another dangling wire between Denny's legs if he and his brother refuse to answer one last riddle. He explains if they answer correctly, they can use the phone, and if they get it wrong, they beat feet through the woods. Buzz convinces Denny to play the doc's game, which sets up this scene.
What is it that has no weight seen by the naked eye. And if you put it in a barrel, it would make the barrel lighter.
Denny concedes immediately, but Buzz is pacing back and forth like a resident of Smith's Grove Sanitarium and is determined to come up with the answer.
I don't know.
It's a hole, you fucking nitwit. Buzz begs for a second chance, but living up to his promise, Dr. Vink tells the kids to hit the bricks. He instructs them to follow the trail to the dirt road and wait for a taxi to come pick them up. Denny pleads one more time for the doc to just let them use the phone, but Vink doesn't budge no matter how much they whine. He does offer them a hand though. See what I did there? The brothers make it up the dirt road, and much to their surprise, a cab shows up to give them a ride. Denny tells the cabbie that their parents will pay for the trip once they get back into town. Shortly after, the boys are shocked to learn that Flynn is the driver. Flynn suspected he'd be seeing the boys again and does his best version of every James Bond or, for that matter, Ghostface killer and reveals to the boys the secret plan of how he and Dr. Vink have been killing lost hikers in the woods for the last 40 years. One continuity issue though, Flynn is wearing a starter brand hat which was founded in 1971. So the only way for this 40-year timeline to work would mean that this story would have to take place in 2011. And there's no way that Denny would be out hiking with his brother dressed like that in 2011 because he'd still be at school stuck inside of his locker. Back to the story. Flynn gives some brief exposition about how he and Dr. Vink met, which ultimately led to his nasty accident.
I gave Dr. Vink a ride up here in my cab. He offered me a big tip if I could solve the riddle. I couldn't, so he took a specimen from me. You might say, I should have died!
Now that's a twist. That's right, the big reveal is Flynn is a ghost, and most importantly, he's Doc's right-hand man. Literally. While Flynn continues to drive down the dirt road like he's got a kilo of Colombian Bam Bam and a dead hooker in the trunk of his cab, Denny and Buzz realize there's still time to solve the riddle and avoid crashing into a tree. As they're getting closer to the tree, Buzz realizes there's a trick to the answer. No shit, dude, that's why it's a riddle and not a question. He drags out giving the answer, but finally has his eureka moment.
I got it! I know the answer!
What is it?
It's weightless, you can see it, and if you put it in a barrel, it'll make the barrel lighter.
Say it!
It's a hole! It's a hole in the barrel!
The brothers avoid looking like minced meat and seem to have grown closer because of it. Well, maybe not. But Buzz finally got to prove himself to his older brother. Hey look, there's Ranger Smith. No time like the present, buddy. The boys are rescued, and Frank caps off his story by saying that law enforcement went to the area where Dr. Vink's opium den was located, but nothing was found there but an old stone foundation and a couple of weeds.
The end.
The Midnight Society approves of this message and unanimously votes Frank in as the newest member of the group. The double end. With a runtime of 24 minutes, this episode is paced very well. The brothers are lost in the woods, and just when it seems like all hope is lost, they meet a traveler who they believe can help their situation. Little do they know, the situation grows much worse, which ultimately places them in the backseat of a ghost cab, hauling ass down the road trying to kill them. The youngest brother, who is clearly trying to prove himself to his older brother throughout the episode, solves the riddle and saves both of their lives. Never once did they halt the story's progress to provide exposition on the brothers' relationship or cut to concerned parents phoning the police. The story is centrally focused on Denny and Buzz's journey into and out of the woods and never deviates from that. There are some issues I have with the episode. The dialogue is dated, but mostly it's with the story's ending. The consolation prize to not solving Dr. Vink's riddle was a cab ride home, which is actually a cab ride to their death. The problem is, the final destination for the boys is the cab running into a tree. But not just any tree, it's a specific tree that has some unknown ability to take the souls of the deceased and render them slaves to Dr. Vink. They're literally surrounded by trees, but we need to go on a 5-minute ride just to give Buzz enough time to come up with the correct answer. It would have been better if instead of a tree, it was a cliff or a sketchy turn called Dead Man's Curve that they were heading toward. The cab ride could have still taken place to build suspense as the kids' lives are on the line, but the audience doesn't have to sit and watch them pass tree after tree on the screen wondering why not hit that tree or why not hit that tree. And although I knew the kids weren't going to die in the car crash, the director did a fantastic job of building up suspense and even delivering a gnarly turn of events when Flynn does his best impersonation of Reagan from The Exorcist. Nonetheless, I can let a lot of this stuff go when I remind myself that these are supposed to be tales conjured up on a weekly basis by kids in their early teens. So for some of the plot holes or contrivances with future episodes, I'll try to forgive the writers for some of those decisions. All in all, this was a great start to kick the series off, and I'm genuinely looking forward to what the next episode has to offer. The Best Performance Award goes to Dr. Vink. He was an eccentric character who felt disarming at certain points, but when his darker side reared its ugly head, you believed he was one sick son of a bitch. I would have loved a spin-off series surrounding him and his dirty deeds. And for worst performance, Buzz. I know, kid actors are low-hanging fruit, but seriously, he's got to be related to a network exec or something. There's no way that he was the best they had auditioning for this role. With all that said, I give Are You Afraid of the Dark, The Tale of the Phantom Cab, 3.5 Coffee Mate containers out of 5. Make sense? Didn't think so. If you liked this video, make sure to show the thumbs up button some love. And if you more than liked it, go ahead and click the subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell notification icon so that you can get notified when my next video is released. You can find me on my social media accounts listed in the description below. And if you want to show me some love, check out my swag store on Teespring and get yourself or a loved one some of my apparel. That's all for today. I've been your host Maverick, and I will see you on the next one.